It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Monday Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. On this, the first day of January 2024, coming to you from Bedford County, Virginia. Seasonable day, cold, we'll warm up during the day. It's remarkably good weather for this time of year. So Happy New Year to each and every one of you guys. As always, folks, I appreciate all of you that find time to follow me, and I do appreciate that. We do have a couple stories this morning. Of course, we had a massive earthquake over in Japan with tsunami warnings. This is a little bit unusual because it's on the west side of Japan. That's where the earthquake happened, the epicenter. Also today, we've got a report of an overboard in Brazil. We've also got a missing teen that was reunited with her family, and Adventures of the Seas delayed. That and a lot more here live at 11 o'clock this morning. And again, today, of course, is New Year's Day. So Happy New Year's. Now, if you're listening via the podcast, you can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. All the big guys have me. TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, doesn't matter. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and the fat guy pops up. Anytime you're listening via the podcast and want to jump over to the video feed, there's always a link in the description, so you can do just that. All right. Some of you are aware that there was a massive change in my scheduling that I announced yesterday. I did a little live stream yesterday for that. I've been talking all along about the first cruise with Chillie on the MSC Magnifica, which was going to be in April. Well, MSC was having problems finding an accessible cabin. So they actually suggested that I do this on February the 5th, which times out perfectly for me because I get off the Norwegian Epic in Port Canaveral on the 4th. So I'll just, go down the street to the parking building, jump in my car, and drive to Miami. So we'll do the Magnifica starting on the 5th. It's 5-day, 4-night. I know some of you don't like short cruises. There's an optional 3-day add-on to make it a 7-night cruise. The prices are right. Anyway, it starts at like $149 per person, and plus $110. And I think it starts at $218 plus the $110 taxes and port charges. Starting price for solos. And it goes up from there depending on your cabins you want and what extras you want, but still, that's pretty nice. And if you book today and maybe tomorrow, they might extend it to tomorrow. They're running a New Year's special that you can get some real savings on the add-on packages like the Wi-Fi and drinks and get some cruise credits or onboard credits in addition. So pretty good deals. All you got to do is call me, email me, text me, whatever you want to do. And I'll take care of everything right here. Booking myself just like I just booked myself on it yesterday. So, all right, before we get to the news portion of today, Nate's been on this show a bazillion times. My friend, my partner, my everything. He sent this from The Enchanted Princess. All right, a little New Year's Eve action from the Enchanted Princess. And, that was Nate with a glass of champagne, and he looked about 3 sheets to the wind, but that's neither here nor there. So, let's see what else we got today. I did talk to Elizabeth yesterday. By the way, folks, that's the MSC Magnifica. Hopefully for Dennis, I'm pronouncing that correctly now. I've been practicing. I've done a lot of practicing, Dennis. I'm hoping he's here today because we actually had Greek food last night. So I did get a chance to talk with Elizabeth briefly from Antarctica. First time I've ever talked to anybody from Antarctica. And this was down there in that part of the world. It was foggy. You can't see anything. She said the Wi-Fi was horrible. It lasted about 2 minutes and then it was done. And she never was able to get back. I was hoping she'd try to check in this morning. She should be approaching Ushuaia, or however you say that word, in Argentina today. So it's good to talk briefly to Elizabeth. This is my friend Frank, Bubba, Schumark, and Lynn. They're having dinner with Roxy and Tracy, which are 2 of the officers on board the Rotterdam. Bubba is going to be on the show tomorrow, as a matter of fact. We might talk a little bit about the Rotterdam, but we're mostly going to talk about the legendary voyage that he and Lynn just got off of on the Volendam. This is from my friend Rob Slevin out from Lexington, Kentucky. This was a pirate punch. He's also on the Rotterdam. I'll have to see if they've crossed paths, but this was a pirate punch at Half Moon Key. And he also went to the Lobster Shack, as I did last time I was there. So that's there in Half Moon Key. So good for him. All right, so we're going to start off today, folks, talking about a really horrible way to start the year off in Japan. This morning, Japan issued tsunami warnings for several regions after an earthquake with an estimated 7.6 magnitude erupted off the country's western coast around 4:10 p.m. today, prompting authorities to urge those in vulnerable areas to evacuate or run to higher ground. And this is a report from BBC this morning concerning that.
The tremor, which according to the US Geological Survey had a magnitude of 7.5, struck at just after 4 p.m. local time. It happened in the Ishikawa area, close to the town of Anamizu. Well, this camera caught the moment the earthquake happened. Officials have urged people living in coastal areas to move to higher ground. And we're getting reports that some major highways have been closed, but the agency which administers Japan's nuclear power plants say they have not been affected. Around 33,500 households are without power. Russia has also issued warnings for its far eastern Sakhalin island and is carrying out evacuations there.
Now, this was felt as far away as Tokyo. So, pretty massive earthquake this morning in Japan. No reports yet on casualties or any of those kind of things. It's still way too early for that. There so far have been, last counting, 17 aftershocks. Originally the tsunami warning issued, they said could possibly have a 10 to 15 foot wave. The largest they had just before the show today was 4 feet. They've downplayed that a little bit now. However, the waves could still hit. It's one thing I didn't realize, that when you have a tsunami that's caused by a shift in the tectonic plates, that's what sends the water gushing toward land. A second round of waves could be anywhere from 5 minutes after the first wave hits to an hour later. Had no idea that you could actually have multiple waves in a tsunami. So they had some clips of pretty substantial damage in some of the areas from a combination of both the tsunami and the the tsunami and the earthquake. So just a really rough way to start the year off in Japan. All right, I'll be back with a couple more news stories. Not a whole lot of news today, after a quick break from one of our network sponsors. All right, the next story, folks. Comes from MSC. Passenger went overboard from the MSC Preziosa early today after a cruise ship left the port of Santos, headed to a New Year's Eve festivities in Rio de Janeiro with thousands of passengers and artists, according to several publications in Brazil. A concert was abruptly canceled when, just 30 minutes before showtime, a male guest was reported overboard. While the overboard was not connected to the concert, the cancellation was done out of respect to the victim and the rescue personnel hard at work in search efforts. Few factual details exist regarding how the person went overboard from the ship, other than reports that he fell from the ship around 12:30 a.m. MSC resorted to its usual claims that the person jumped overboard intentionally. Some of the news reports suggest that he went over the rails of his cabin's balcony. 2 rescue boats from the cruise ship searched for the man for several hours. The Brazilian Coast Guard also searched, but its efforts were unsuccessful. MSC claims that the Coast Guard released the ship to continue on its cruise after a couple hours. Despite extensive search efforts, the passenger was not found. To maintain privacy, the details of the passenger and the circumstances of the incident have not been disclosed. All right, as equally tragic as that was, you got one that ended up good for a change. A cruise ship guest caused a comprehensive police missing persons operation in Dunedin, New Zealand, after getting separated from her parents. The 15-year-old girl went missing while visiting the city. Her parents quickly raised the alarm with the police. It led to a large local police presence searching for the girl named Cameron. It came just a few hours before the Norwegian Spirit cruise ship departed Dunedin port. Cameron had a cell phone, but could not be contacted, excuse me, as she didn't have a New Zealand SIM card. With time ticking away before the ship's departure, the power of social media came to the rescue The police posted an image of the girl on Facebook, which was extensively shared within local groups. The missing girl was located by someone who had seen the original Facebook post. The Dunedin police said, "Police would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to our wonderful Dunedin community who shared the original Facebook post and got the word out far and wide." She was found just 2 hours before the cruise ship departed Dunedin's Chalmers Port. Dunedin is a popular stop on New Zealand cruise itineraries. It's a gateway for various shore excursions, such as the Te George Scenic Railroad and Otago Harbor Wildlife Cruise. This offers sightings of seals, penguins, and dolphins. So one ends up good for a change, thanks to social media. Don't often hear that one either. All right, Adventure of the Seas was on its way back to Port Canaveral when it was delayed because it had to turn into Turks and Caicos due to a medical situation on board. They evacuated the person. That takes some time, of course, before they could get on their way from Turks and Caicos. Cruise line made what adjustments it could for a smooth debarkation despite the delay, though embarkation for the current sailing was also impacted. Adventures of the Seas arrived in Port Canaveral about 2 hours late, and of course that set off the next cruise starting a couple hours late. However, there shouldn't be any further impact to the current cruise. So that's going to wrap up the news portion of today. I told you it wasn't a whole lot going on in the news. Let's go see who's fussing at me in the chat room. There's Kenneth. There's Katie. Steve's with us from out in Kentucky. Hot Air Tom's here. Nick Rogers with us down in Jacksonville. I spent some time watching the football game from Jacksonville, Roger. My boys from Kentucky. Last second touchdown by Clemson. But man, I hated to lose, but that was a really good football game. Joanne's with us. Hi, Joanne. Emily's with us. Everybody's wishing everybody Happy New Year. There's Gretchen out in Ohio. Says Happy New Year to everybody. Chillie, how are your cats doing? The cats are fine. We had some workmen here doing HVAC stuff up in the ceilings and crap. So they pretty much hit out for that. But other than that, Carmen and Cottonelle are just like always. Charmin and Cottonelle. I can't get my tongue working today. But yeah, they're fine. I haven't seen them since I fed them this morning, which isn't unusual. They don't come in here for the shows very often. I don't know if they don't like the lights or once in a while they'll come in. But yeah, they're doing fine, Em. Thanks for asking. All right, so let me tell you what's ahead for this week. We got a couple kind of neat things. Of course, Bubba, Frank Schumard will be here tomorrow. We got a bunch of things to talk about with him. Pretty sure he's on the Rotterdam. Then on Thursday afternoon, folks, I'm going to be conducting an interview. I'm not 100% sure who the interviewee is, but I have reasonable expectations. It's the CEO of Holland America, which will be a really major score for me. So we're going to be talking about the legendary cruises program of Holland America. One of the things that I would clearly love to do one of these days. Again, folks, if anybody is interested in joining me on February the 5th to explore a new ship for me, the MSC I started to say the MSC Miravilia, and that's not the right ship. That's the one I just got off of on the MSC Magnifica. Call me or text me or email me or let me know, and I'll jump on the computer. We'll figure out exactly how much it's going to cost. I promise you, it's going to be cheaper than you think, depending on what you want. But anyway, we'll have a good time. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising, and hopefully one day soon we'll all get together on the high seas. Happy New Year's, everybody. Have a great day. I'll see you everybody tomorrow. Later, y'all.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, chilly chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chilliescruises.